The last aspect of just war theory I want to talk about is just peace. Sadly, just peace is actually a very new addition to this idea of just war. It's sad because if this whole idea that war can be just is something that Christians have latched onto so much, one has to wonder why the idea of restoration and reconciliation was such a late addition. And it might be a little bit cynical, but in my mind, this later addition kind of implies that all along, just war theory hasn't really been about justice, but more about convenience and selfishness and self-justification. How am I going to justify the war that I'm going to wage for self-preservation or enrichment? That's been the age-old question in Christendom, not how can we have justice and peace. And that brings us to an important question. How has the marriage of church and state worked out in the world? Well, you've got post-Constantinian violence and discrimination. You've got crusades. You've got all the martyrdoms in Reformation Europe. It's the Inquisition. United States genocide of Native Americans justified through the Old Testament. Pretty nasty stuff. And that's because the church is not meant to wield swords, it's meant to wield plowshares. When alternative kingdoms become blended kingdoms, they lose their distinctiveness. But hey, the church is late to jump on the bandwagon, and if we want to wield just war, adding just peace is maybe a lot late, but that's good, right? But that begs the question of, when you do violence, can there really be a just peace? Well, yeah, just look at World War II. I mean, we were enemies with Germany and enemies with Japan, and look where we are today. We're buddies. Sure, when you're selective with your information, you can pull out any statistics you want. But what did the world wars do to create the Middle East and the problems that the West has with them today? How did World War I's peace lead to World War II? By and large, new conflicts are born out of old ones. There is no just peace when the means that birthed that peace is violence, because the means are the ends in the process of becoming. And sadly, most people forget about a huge area of just peace that is still so overlooked. What about the lack of peace in the soldiers that we ask to do the killing for us? Soldier suicides and mental health issues as a result of moral injury is a huge problem. But I suppose every culture needs their human sacrifices for perceived peace. Check out more